The ANC in Gauteng has thrown its weight behind President Cyril Ramaphosa's second term. It also wants Paul Mashatile as his deputy, Stan Mathabatha as chairperson, and Nomvula Mokonyane as deputy secretary general. The Provincial Executive Committee met yesterday and resolved to nominate these 4 candidates for the top 6 positions ahead of the party's 55th elective conference in December. The ANC's nomination lists opened last week and has already seen a flurry of candidates put up their hands for leadership positions. They include, among others, former Health Minister Dr. Mkhize and Tourism Minister Lindiwe Sisulu, who hopes to oust Ramaphosa. There's also a growing list of candidates who wish to succeed David Mabuza as deputy president of the governing party. They include Ministers Ronald Lamola and Mamoloko Kubai, to mention just a few. Let's speak now to ANC Gauteng spokesperson Lesego Makhubela to give us more on these developments, especially following that PEC meeting yesterday. A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you.
So maybe let's talk about exactly the ANC in Gauteng throwing its weight behind President Cyril Ramaphosa. What informed that decision?
Well, there's culture and practice in the ANC. After Oliver Tambo, the longest-serving president of the ANC, handed over the baton to President Nelson Mandela, who voluntarily handed over the baton in 1997 to President Thabo Mbeki, and President Mbeki serving 2 terms. President Mbeki, who then went on to a contest in 2007, President Zuma entered, served 2 terms. President Ramaphosa has to continue with the unity and the renewal program of the ANC to serve 2 terms. Unfortunately, his term was a very difficult term. It was a term which was actually characterized by the devastating COVID pandemic, which has brought economies, global economies on its knees. It is a term now which has now been complicated by the war in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, which has created an energy crisis and therefore creating serious problems in the economy. It's a term that was characterized by the Trump administration, which had a frosty relationship with one of our biggest trading partners, China, which created problems. So we understand that. We are a political organization. We use tools of analysis. We have to analyze all these things and everything else which would have characterized the difficult term of President Ramaphosa and his collective. And therefore we believe that he should continue to serve another term, so that we are able to continue with the culture and practice that we have been able to establish, so that we don't disrupt that particular program, but also we do not become an organization of Pumangingen.
In your tools of analysis, what then informed supporting Paul Mashatile as the deputy?
Comrade Paul Mashatile is our longest-serving chairperson in Gauteng, has impeccable credentials, is actually, possesses revolutionary morality, has led us very well, has done very well as a leader of the ANC, and therefore we believe that he should be given the nod. There are members, that you mentioned, who are standing from our own province, but we believe the most senior in that particular NEC is him. But also the ANC is not a new organization. It's an organization which is over a century old. It's an organization which its leaders are characterized by different generations. You will not have, new organizations which are there which have 30-year-olds leading. No, you will have different generations of the ANC leading. So the generation which is coming in now, which you have to usher in a new epoch in the politics of the nation and our country, will be led by Comrade Paul Mashatile, and that's what informed that particular decision, that he must take the ANC forward after President Ramaphosa hands over the baton after his second term.
And when we take a look at the issue of other provinces, Gauteng becomes the latest after Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga as well, to mention but a few. But you've also got other people who are putting their names up for the position of ANC president. How do you foresee this will play itself out? It is clear, given the decision of the PEC to support President Cyril Ramaphosa, where Gauteng stands, but how do you see it playing itself out in December with other names that have been put forth for the top position?
Well, one of the key element that defines the ANC is what we term vibrant internal democracy. There are other parties, when they go to their conferences, you almost certainly know who's going to be elected, because those are the owners of the party. The ANC is guided by vibrant internal democracy. The membership of the ANC in those provinces will express itself, just like members of the ANC in our province will express themselves. And therefore, we are not going to stand up and discourage anyone from standing. There will be a flurry of names. That's what the ANC is. It doesn't belong to individuals. It belongs to its members. And its constitution empowers every member to avail themselves for any position within the party. And therefore, you will have all these particular names. But at the end of the day, the final arbiter will be the membership of the ANC, who will be expressing their views as delegates in that particular conference. But as Gauteng were very clear, those are the names that we are going to be going. We are going to be meeting with provinces. We are going to meet all provinces in this country. We are going to consult with them. We are going to canvass and lobby the names that we have. We are going to be able to express to them what the PEC would have said to us. This is why we believe the transition must take place in this particular way. This is why we believe that this is the direction that we must be able to take for the stability of the ANC, for its unity and renewal, but also for the stability of South Africa, so that you don't disrupt a lot of things. So these are the names that we are going to take to all provinces and convince them on these particular names. And we are quite confident that these are the names will emerge. The problem, we know we would have shocked a lot of people, especially some of the analysts that we invite in your studios, who are really influencers, not analysts. They were not expecting the ANC in Gauteng to be able to come out in the manner in which it did. They believed that what emerged in the ANC Gauteng conference was a faction. There's no faction which has emerged in Gauteng. There's a united ANC Provincial Executive Committee which has the best interest of the people of Gauteng and South Africa at heart. And that's why it believes in the stability of our country, not disrupting the unity and the renewal program in how we are moving.
You speak of stability, you speak of renewal. When you take a look at the president that you are putting your name behind, or you're putting your support behind, South Africa is fractured because of everything that is going on around the investigation on what happened at his farm, the robbery in 2020, and the fact that he still hasn't answered questions also in Parliament about that. So how confident is Gauteng in this decision that it has made, that the people of South Africa will be behind it?
It was the African National Congress that gave birth to this democracy, which gives rights to individual members, including those who are members of the executive, including the president. It's one of the only countries in the world where you can have a former head of state being taken to court, maybe even arrested and questioned. President Ramaphosa has never said, "I'm evading questions." President Ramaphosa refused to answer those questions because those questions are a matter of a probe, of an investigation. And he said that immediately after the investigations are done, he's going to come and account. There's no single president of the ANC in the history of the democracy that we have ushered in this country that has ever failed to go to Parliament and account to the people of South Africa, and including to parties in Parliament. What opposition parties have done, they've actually wanted to use this issue of Phala to either polarize the ANC, but also to sectionally demobilize our country against its sitting president. We will wait for those investigations. We have confidence in law enforcement agencies. They will do their job. They will release a report. It is upon that report that as members and as leaders of the African National Congress that will then be able to map a way forward. But we cannot say that the Provincial Executive Committee in its meeting, because in that particular Provincial Executive Committee there are advocates, there are scientists, there are all sorts of things, but there are no investigators. We have confidence, utmost confidence in the judicial system. We have confidence in the law enforcement agencies, and we believe that the report which will come will be a report that will clarify what happened in the president's farm.
To be fair, though, it's not just political parties that want to know. It's everyday South Africans who also want to know and want to get the truth out of that investigation. As you say, we'll wait for the outcomes. But you have also put forth names for the premiership position in Gauteng. Talk us through that.
Yeah, well, of course, the Premier of Gauteng, Comrade David Makhubela, approached the Provincial Executive Committee immediately after our election. Even before immediately our election, President Makhubela, in February, before the provincial conference of the ANC, came in what we term a cadres assembly, where there are all structures of the ANC and members. And he said that I want to graciously express my gratitude to you for having afforded me an opportunity to serve and lead you for over 22 years. I want to announce I want to avail myself for election in Gauteng. I also want to announce that immediately after the provincial conference, I'm going to work with the PEC to actually lead a smooth transition in terms of the handing of power. That's what informs the decision. So this is a continuation of that smooth transition where Comrade Premier David Makhubela is going to be handing over power to the new Premier. In terms of the constitution of the ANC, the PEC has to meet and it has to come up with 3 names and submit those names to the National Executive Committee. And that's why we have decided to put in, to nominate the name of our chairperson, Comrade Panyaza Lesufi, and they are nominated in order of preference, 1, 2, 3. So Comrade Panyaza Lesufi tops that list. He is followed by our Deputy Secretary in the province, Comrade Tasneem Motara, impeccable credentials. She's followed by Comrade Kiribone Diale, a young leader of the ANC, PWC, and that's what informs the names.
Thank you very much for availing yourself this morning. ANC Gauteng spokesperson Lesego Makhubela. Thanks.
Thank you.